This is the exact step-by-step strategy to escape the YouTube graveyard. If you're a creator that's struggling to get even a couple views on your video, I guarantee if you follow these steps, you will get results. Today, we're gonna go through the exact system to escape the YouTube graveyard, which is when you're stuck posting videos but get no views or impressions. Starting with fresh market. Now, there are really just 4 types of markets. There is the bigger market, the smaller market, the different style, and the innovate. And each one of these is a unique way to stand out compared to everyone else in your niche. Now, first we have the bigger market, which is when you're in a niche and instead of targeting the same niche as everyone else, you target a broader niche than other people. So we have this sort of your market bubble, and then you go and you target the broader market. Now, a perfect example of this is Callaway, who is a creator that was sort of targeting shorts creators and giving them advice, and he decided to go more unique and target more broad social media people in general. He went to a broader market, a place where there was a ton of supply but not as much demand on the content side, and he crushed it. Now next we have smaller market. This is the exact opposite. So you have this sort of market and you decide to target an even smaller amount of people. You go more specific. Now a great example of this is the creator Oren Meets World. So instead of just targeting the broad creator market, once again, he decided to target the creatives in the creator market. So he specifically made content for creative directors, creatives in general, any sort of artistic type person. Now next we have different style. So this is when you have a market and you just serve them a different style of content. So in a market you can have tons of different types of people interested in that specific niche, right? You have the hardcore fans, the people super obsessed with it. You have the casuals where if they see an interesting title or interesting topic, they're more likely, they might click. And then you have new people who are just, might be interested, might not. It really just depends on how broad your video is. And so when you target a different style, you're trying to serve a new style of content to that audience that they've never seen before. So with Emoto, we went in the anime niche and we decided to do broad listicle videos, very casual, beginner friendly, but also in the format of a listicle where it's not a specific person. Now, finally, we have the innovate. Now, this is probably my favorite style of being fresh in a niche. This is when you find an old market and you innovate it, you bring it up to date, right? Now, a great example is this channel Ethan right here. He was able to go into the survival market, which really hasn't seen much optimization or any form of, it's just been the same creators posting the same content of like, I survived 3 days on this wilderness island. And he comes in with a YouTube strategy mindset and really optimizes the content, the thumbnails, the packaging, the storytelling. This is huge. There are so many gaps in markets where people just haven't ventured into these markets or niches yet. And if you can come in and you can bring the standard of quality up to the level of, let's say, a Mr. Beast type or a Mr. Beast type optimization, with very simple optimized thumbnails, really well told stories, really interesting topics, just very well optimized, no fluff, you can blow up like crazy. So those are the different markets I think you should consider when you are stuck in the YouTube graveyard and you're a small creator. And you want to really understand what is the market, what is the unique selling point that I can take and give to the viewer. Because a lot of times beginners run into the mistake where they have a favorite channel and they just copy that channel. So I had a similar channel I started a while back where there was this creator named Giguk who did like anime video essay videos where we would talk about trending anime and just, had a bunch of humor. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. And so I just literally copied his format. I did humor. I talked about video essays, and it didn't work because there was already a Giguk in the space. There was already that creator in the space. I wasn't offering anything new to the market. So the demand that wanted to watch that sort of content, why would they watch me when they could watch this creator who's already successful, who they've already gotten entertaining content. They've already been interested. They've already had a great experience with this content. So they're not going to risk having a shitty experience with my content potentially versus knowing that if they just go to his videos, it's going to be a good experience. So you really want to find a unique angle and target an audience and target a new sort of market, right? A fresh market, as I say. Now, the next one is reinventing the wheel. I see a lot of beginners, especially the people who are the more creative side, they kind of decide to just do the most unique style of content possible. And I'm going to tell you a couple of reasons why this doesn't work. Now, we have Gok here. I think his name's Gok. And he does art. And I think he is an example of a creator that's very creative and that kind of went in his own direction. But I want to tell you why this isn't a strategy everyone should replicate and why it's very easy to mess this up. So I created this sort of nifty little visual, and I think this really kind of pinpoints the problem with the creative side of things. Is when you're doing creativity, you're kind of just thinking of any idea and you're throwing darts at a wall and you're seeing which one's going to hit the target. And your chance of hitting the target and finding a video or a niche or content that does really well is a lot harder because you're not basing those off of viral principles of what is interesting in the first place. Versus if you go into it from a data back point of view where you take formats and ideas and content and viral topics that are interesting and then you twist those to be slightly more unique, there you have more chance of finding success because you're basing your stuff off of principles that are interesting in the first place. So I always say it's harder to succeed with creativity as a beginner. So as a beginner, especially when you're starting out, you really don't understand what makes for good content, like at all, like how to write a good story, how to write a good title, how to make a good thumbnail. Don't try and be as creative. Really try and stick to the fundamentals of what has worked before and then kind of add your own twist onto that. Here's another perfect example of reverse engineering a viral idea and kind of taking the core principle, the data-backed idea that did really well, and then bringing it into a new niche or bringing it in a different direction where you're still creative, but you're still basing it off of a viral idea. So here we had Mr. Beast doing the last to leave the Tesla, keep it challenge. And we have ZHC, an art creator. He decided to do the same sort of concept, but obviously make it art style. So he's customizing the car. And then the last one to stop customizing wins the car, right? And that did really well for him. And that's based off of the viral mechanics of the Mr. Beast video. And you're basing the video off of viral components that have done well in the past. And that's a lot more likely to go viral compared to just randomly shooting shots of the dark in a creative style. So next, we have this sort of thing that I really see a lot of beginners fall into, which is the quantity versus quality sort of dilemma, right? So I think a lot of people see channels post, these sort of guys who already know what they're doing, post like once per month, and they're like, oh, I should just spend all my time making one really good video. Now, as a beginner, when you're stuck not doing anything, you want as many data points as possible because the more data points you have, the more uploads you have, the more there's more sort of chances you have for a viral video to hit, right? So looking at these images, we have this one guy who, if you take one shot per game, you only have one chance to get a goal, right? Versus if you take 5 shots, you're more likely to get a goal. So I really think with beginners, you want to be taking more shots per game. You want to be uploading more in a given month. So you can really get the layups, get the reps, learn what does well, learn what doesn't. And it also gives you more chances to get results in the first place. Now, finally, supply and demand. This is similar to the sort of fresh market thing I was talking about. And the fresh market thing is the sort of solution for this. But I think content, there's a lot of basic supply and demand principles in content in terms of what content do people want and what content is being made to supply that demand, right? So a great example of this is the finance niche, where in the finance niche has been blowing up sort of, instead of sharing information with a camera, they kind of share the lifestyle, right? And this has been blowing up for a couple creators. And so every single person kind of hopped into that and started making that sort of content of like POV, you're an entrepreneur making 6 figures a month or something like that, right? And the issue there is that there's a certain demand for those style of videos, but yet everyone is giving that supply. So you end up competing with hundreds and hundreds of people, and you don't stand out very much. So in more competitive markets where there's a lot more creators and there's a lot more content being put out, you need more freshness to stand out. You need more unique content to stand out. So that means going in different directions, targeting broader markets, targeting smaller markets, any sort of thing that can make your content feel unique compared to all the other creators in the space, right? And the opposite also holds true. So if the market is less competitive, then you don't need to be as fresh. You can kind of do more standardized YouTube optimization content because no one else is doing that. So next up, we have the missile method. Now, this is my favorite sort of principle for getting out of the sort of YouTube graveyard, YouTube jail of, no impressions, no views, right? So the key to instantly find success on YouTube is to enter into a niche with the precision and the impact of a missile. So imagine you made a video that was so good that when it landed in that niche, every single creator was like, holy shit, and they all watched it and commented. All the creators in that niche commented, watched it. It blew up. It got a million views, 2 million, 5 million views, right? That is the impact of a missile in a niche. But you need to hit that certain level of quality to create that video that can have that impact. Now, a lot of times, right here, I see a lot of people comment on videos that are like, yo, the algorithm's not pushing my videos. I make the best videos possible, but I get no impressions. I get no views, The algorithm does not send my videos to the right audience. It's the algorithm's fault, My videos are always perfect. And I think this is a horrible mindset because, first of all, your videos are never perfect. You're never making good videos. If you think you're making good videos, that's a good sign that you're not making good videos. On top of that, this is exactly what the missile method kind of gets over. So I'm going to draw this little thing, this little analogy that can help you understand this sort of principle, right? So a lot of people, when they make content, they run into a roadblock, right? So I'm going to draw a little car here, right? So this is you and your channel, and nice little car. And so you have this sort of roadblock on the road, and you don't have enough like sort of momentum, right? Your car doesn't have enough momentum to get over the roadblock. You're going to go over a little bit, and then you're going to go all the way back down, right? So you need to create the speed to get over this roadblock. And that speed is making a video so good that a tiny little roadblock wouldn't stop it. If you're going at 1,000 miles per hour, you're going to get over that roadblock. And it's the same thing. If you make a good enough video, your roadblocks of no impressions, no views, that's not going to matter because the video is going to be so good that YouTube will be forced to push it. And so that's the sort of mental frame you want to have when making content and when making videos for the first time is, how can I make videos so good that YouTube is forced to push this video? I can't come up with excuses of no impressions. So if you are getting no impressions, that just means that you didn't make a video good enough to get over that road. And now, of course, you have to make a good video in the first place, and that's the hard part, right? But that comes with shooting a lot of shots, uploading a lot of videos, getting better, consuming a lot of content, testing things, optimizing things. You know, if you can slowly be tweaking different parts of the video, the scripting, the editing, the recording aspects, your video is going to slowly get better and better to the point where you can get over these roadblocks easily and make that quality. So in terms of the missile method, I would say if you really want to make this sort of missile of a video that can do really well, you want to be able to, your video needs to have two things. It needs to be the best video in the niche at two specific things. So it can be any of these. You can have the best video in the niche when it comes to a great idea, to the packaging, to the editing, to the storytelling, to the specific style of that video. If you can get two of these down and have better that than everyone else in the niche, your video is going to do really well. So if you can make a video with a better idea than anyone else in the niche, and it has a better thumbnail than everyone else in the niche, that video is going to do really well. If you can make a video that has an insane storytelling and insane editing compared to everyone else in the niche, like the quality of your video and the quality of your editing and your storytelling is way better than everyone else in the niche, your video is going to do really well. So to create that sort of missile video, you need to have at least two factors of like, this is better than every other video in the niche. So next we have the 3 levels of noob. So this is going to sound harsh, but for most people stuck in the YouTube graveyard, it means that you suck at YouTube. You just suck. You're not good at YouTube. So you need to spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to get better at YouTube. On top of that, your first 30 videos are gonna suck. There's nothing you can do about it. The first 30 videos will suck. So get them out of the way, get them done quickly, and keep moving forward. On top of that, consistency beats 99% of people. I want you to hammer this into your mind. If you are just more consistent, and you can post once a week for an entire year, you will already, in that 1 year, beat 99% of people posting content just by being consistent. So consistency is key when you're in a beginner and when you're stuck in view jail, when you're stuck in the YouTube graveyard, when you're not getting any impressions. Consistency is key. Get that in your head, get consistent, and get videos out. Post more, learn more. The more you post, the more you learn. That's just how it is. So post more, be consistent, and know that you will suck. It's just all things that everyone goes through. Mr. Beast went through it. You can go watch his first 100, 200 videos that suck ass. You can go watch them. They're horrible. He had to go through the same roadblocks you're going through, and he didn't complain in the comments about the algorithm suppressing his video. Now, here's a couple hacks that I think will help you kind of get over this, because I was a bit harsh. But I think the first thing is, compare your videos to better videos. This is a technique that has single-handedly helped me the most. It is taking my video and then finding a video that's identical to my video in the same niche as my video that's just better. And by better, the definition for what quantifies better is more views, right? So if your video has like 2 views, go find a video that has 1 million views on the same topic in the same niche. And then watch both videos side by side and take notes. Look at both intros. Look at both intro lines. Look at the way they said the intro. Look at the transitions, the segments, the thumbnail, compare, write notes. You should have a full doc of 10 pages worth of notes if you do that. And from there, you can use those notes to optimize your videos and make your videos better. That's a huge hack that more people should be using. On top of that, don't expect success on the first video. I think a lot of people, especially when you spend a lot of time trying to get good at YouTube, you start to build an ego of like, I need my first video to be extremely successful or else this channel has failed. And that's just not the case. Of course, you can probably get to a point where every single time you upload a video on a new channel, it blows up immediately, right? You can get to that point, especially if you spend like a year making that video prior, right? But the issue is that when you set that as the expectations, it's just unhealthy expectations, It's better to just get videos going and get the car moving than try to spend a year making a banger video and then it flops because you have no clue what you're doing. Especially if you're in the YouTube graveyard in the first place, you're not going to know how to make a good video. So just get that first video over. And that's my advice for how to get out of the YouTube graveyard. Really, I think if you follow all these principles we talked about, you should get out of it fairly quickly. Just keep your head down, keep moving forward, and I guarantee if you follow this stuff, it will work because I've done it before. I've done all this stuff. I've followed all this advice, and I've had multiple channels get out of the 0 impressions, 0 views graveyard. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see y'all later. Peace.